So hello everyone. My name is Istvan and I've got the honor to introduce today our moderator Shika, who has been working with BeLazy in the last 5 months with multiple companies, trying to make sure that the automation journey is going well.
Thank you so much, Istvan, for the lovely introduction. Hello and welcome everyone to our webinar session. I especially want to thank the audience and our fellow panelists for taking the time to be here today. And like Istvan mentioned, I am Shika Roy and I work in account engagement with BeLazy. And I've successfully completed 6 months with Istvan, so much so that he, my boss, and my friend entrusted me with hosting today's session. So no pressure at all. Maybe we could start our session with the panelists introducing themselves. So Edith, maybe we could start with you. Why don't you tell us about yourself, your role, your day-to-day, and how many projects you receive on a monthly basis?
So I'm Edith. I work for Manpower Group Solutions, and what I do is I'm handling projects, managing projects, also translating, editing, handling clients' feedback, and of course helping with the BeLazy integration. My day-to-day is pretty much made up of all these tasks of translating or receiving projects and assigning them, handling the feedback from clients, editing projects that are received, handling invoices, and all the things that can be expected from a project manager to handle. On a monthly basis, I say that we receive, well, it would be thousands of projects. About between 1,500 and 2,000 of them are being handled by BeLazy. And I think it's about twice that, other than that we receive that are not handled by BeLazy.
And what? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
you go ahead.
What kind of clients do you work with usually?
Well, we're working me specifically, I'm working with clients that come from other translation companies. So I'm already getting everything pretty much ready from other project managers. And we also have clients that we're dealing with, the end clients directly. So we're building the projects and doing all the managing and assigning and everything directly with the client.
Okay, thank you so much, Edith. What about you, Eva?
Day-to-day, like? My day-to-day is I mostly focus on technology management. So everything that has to do with like CAD tools, business management system, BeLazy, of course. And I'm also a project manager, so I handle translation projects. A tiny bit of translation, but most days I really don't have the time for that. And in terms of the projects, we work for MLV clients as well. And we're also in the thousands in terms of the projects we receive per month. Yeah, so that's by and large what I do in a day.
Thank you so much, Eva. And Amelie, finally, what is your day-to-day like?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I am a project manager at 6 continents. So I mainly take care of the first steps of the projects, the requests, which means I create a project, I send quotes, I assign the resources, etc. But I am also the head of the project manager department, sorry. So it means that if my colleagues need help, for instance, if they have a technical issue, if they don't know what to say to a client, stuff like that, they can come to me as well. So it's quite multitasking role I have. But I don't do anything linguistic anymore. I do not translate anymore. I do not edit anything. So it's just really production stuff at 6 continents. And about the number of projects, I think we receive less than 1,000 projects for now. But I think only half of them are coming from LSPs, because we are also working with some French end clients. And yeah, so I would say that we use BeLazy only for a small proportion of our projects, maybe compared to Edith and Eva.
Okay. And how did you hear about BeLazy? Like, what enticed you to try BeLazy? Eva, maybe we could start with you.
Yeah, for us, it was we used to work in the past with our own developed, in-house developed business management system. And we had also developed connections to vendor portals in-house. And because we reached the limits of our own business management system in terms of optimization and modernization, we switched to XCRF late last year. And in order to be able to move all those automations that we had to the new system, and also filling some gaps that we used to have, especially in terms of file management, file retrieval options, we quickly ended up consulting BeLazy to help us fill in those missing gaps.
Okay. And Edith, how did you hear about BeLazy?
Well, I kind of came in later in the process, so I don't know how we heard specifically about BeLazy. But what we were looking for in terms of trying an API, we had a lot of project managers who were wasting valuable time doing very tedious tasks like copy pasting, double checking, closing and assigning tasks in several different platforms. And it really took a lot of time and a lot of headache. So we really wanted an API that would make this process more intuitive, more effective, and more straightforward, to really make some more time and some peace of mind for a project manager, so the entire process can be done more automatically. And that's the reason.
Okay. And Amelie, given that you're also a project manager, did you also deal with these issues?
Yes. Well, in fact, I think it's, so I heard about BeLazy about 2 years ago from my director, because it was a period when we were starting to receive a lot more of LSP projects. And, you know, these projects, they usually have the same management scheme. They are very repetitive. So we were looking for a solution to be able to handle this workload, but also this repetitive tasks at the same time. And I think we went to BeLazy because there is an integration with XDRF, which we are using for the project management, which was really useful, I think, for automating all those kind of projects.
And how did you like BeLazy initially, Amelie?
Yeah.
So, how did you like it?
No, well, at first, I must say I was a bit scared. Yeah, it was just because, I thought it was a bit complicated, because BeLazy offers a lot of automation possibilities, but you cannot have one single mapping, you know, for all the projects you have, because it would depend on so many things, like the way the client creates a project and the information they give. So you have to think of everything, of how you need the project to be created from BeLazy. And this part was very scary for me at first, because I didn't understand much. But then once I understood how it worked, and once I got the help I needed, I think it was easier to get. And now I think the interface is really a friendly user friendly, sorry.
And what about you, Edith? Do you feel the same way, or did you also have a couple of bumps?
Well, initially, of course, you know, it wasn't perfect out of the box. We did have to establish not only how we're working with BeLazy, but also understand how we're working internally, how everybody open projects, how everybody handle different projects with the different clients. So there was a period of adjusting and trying to manipulate both our system and BeLazy in a way that will be better for us. But I think that after this very initial period, I think that BeLazy was flexible and versatile enough to give us what we needed. So it was after that initial period, it all started to really fall into place.
Okay. And how was the deployment process? I would like to ask Eva this question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Eva or Edith?
Eva.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yes.
Deployment process. Yeah, what we did first was attend a few of these webinars. So we already had some idea about how it would work. And then we started testing, I think, early this year. We had a few calls, I think 3 calls initially, just to set up the connection to BeLazy and to be shown the basics of how to use it. Then we set up the first connection to a vendor portal together so we could see how that would work. Then we started working on it ourselves. And then, of course, there were questions. So we could book another call and then go over these questions. And then from there, we took it ourselves to add other connections and to tweak things and to make it suit our needs. Okay. So it was rather a rather quick deployment process for us. It went quicker than we had expected. Yeah.
Okay, and Edith, would you also agree to this? I mean, how was the deployment process for you?
Yeah, it was, well, I think it was pretty much the same. We started with a backend process. So we really tried to build everything without impacting anyone's day-to-day. After that initial period, we started with demo projects to just try and get the information to our systems, see what's working, see what's not working, see what fails, see what we needed, see what we needed it to do, what it can do. And this was done closely with several different project managers. And all through that process, we were also doing everything accompanied by support from BeLazy to try and see where we get stuck, what we can do better, some suggestions, learning how we work and how BeLazy works so we can deploy everything correctly. So yeah, and this is where we are now, pretty much. Now we're
right.
now we started to work with live projects and actually working with the projects that are being created.
Okay, and like you mentioned, you had a couple of bumps along the way initially, but was it easy to reach out to us? And by us, I mean Istvan. Was it easy to reach out to him while you faced a few challenges along the way? Like, what kind of platforms did you use to reach out, Edith?
So I think that, well, the most direct platform was just through emails. If we needed something immediately, if we were stuck, if something wasn't clear in the system. So we just reached out through email and got a pretty immediate response. And aside from that, we kept having discussions, Zoom calls every week to touch base, to see where we are getting stuck, to see what fails for us, to see what works for us. We had sharing screen sessions where we could learn and see and show Istvan even how we work. Now we're down to bi-weekly sessions because we just don't need the weekly sessions anymore. And yeah, so that's definitely, it was very helpful and very immediate, every support that we needed.
And so would you say that this webinar session was one of your bi-weekly or your weekly sessions then?
I think the weekly sessions,
No.
or actually yeah, I don't know.
Wow. And what about you, Ava? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
No, it's all right.
Yes, Ava, what about you?
Yeah, the same
What's
for
easy
us.
for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did the Zoom sessions and screen sharing sessions as well, which was quite helpful because you could directly show whatever you are facing and the issues you are having. And most contact was through email, and there were very quick responses. So any issues that we encountered, we got a quick response, helping us out with whatever we needed.
Thank you so much. And Amelie, what about you? Was it easy to reach out to Istvan?
Yes. And at first it was mainly communication via email or tickets. And maybe once or twice it happens over Skype, I think. So yeah, Istvan was really reactive, you know. And I also met Istvan a few months ago, and it was really, really helpful because he could have a closer look at how we were working, and it helped to understood, you know, what our issues are with BeLazy and how we can improve things. So it was really great. And but in general, we always receive a quick help, you know, when we need it. Should it be via email or via phone or via Skype or anyway.
Okay. And so I feel that maybe we could open the round to the audience, maybe, if the audience has any questions. Istvan?
So far, no questions came in, but if you need any, like if the audience has any questions, then this is the right time to ask. I think when you get more into the nitty-gritty of how your life changed, then this is going to be more.
All right, cool. So this is more like a futuristic question. Like, what maybe if you had like a magic wand, what would you want to automate further? What would you like having automated for yourselves? Maybe we can go with Ava.
Yeah.
Hosting is still taking some practice.
No problem at all.
Webinar, be more fluent with it. Ava, please continue.
Yeah, what we like, we're still at the beginning of the process. So there are still things that should absolutely be possible to automate. We just haven't figured it out yet. And I think there are many opportunities already present. Sometimes client portals don't allow certain automations. So it would be great if there could be some cooperation there with clients, maybe just to see whether we can work it out together, what would be beneficial for them and what would work for us, just to have it more closely aligned, maybe sometimes. So that's definitely something that I would like further automated. Yeah.
Okay. And Edith, what about you? You can go as wild as you can. Just use your imagination.
I think that first of all, what Eva said applies to us as well. When the client's platform allow us to automate things, BeLazy can handle that, and we can get the information very clearly in our system. We can receive the project, we can assign the project, we can complete the project, all without leaving our own little platform. However, it does really depend on the client and what their system allows us to do. And for some projects we can't assign, or we can't bulk assign. Other projects we can't really we can download the files correctly for different projects. So there's a few tweaks and that we still need to do that can probably be automated. What I really look forward to is to the time where pretty much 90% of my projects can be handled in that efficient way, that I wouldn't have to double check or handle different type of platforms just to know that everything 90% of the time comes to one platform, in terms of the counts, the files, the assignment, scheduling, asking for extensions and all that.
Right. And Amelie, what about you?
Well, I think that Eva and Edith pretty much said everything, because first it's just we are limited with our client because we are still working with some LSP, for instance, which do not have any management portal, so there is no automation possible. And it's the same for the client; they just send everything via email, but there is no platform. So I think we already automated as much as we could, but then it's in the end of the client for the rest.
Yeah. And speaking of clients, like what do you think the feedback from your clients changed after using BeLazy? Like, did you see any positive or even negative, thoughts from the client side? Eva, maybe we could start with you.
Yeah, well, not we didn't receive like actual feedback. One thing that we have noticed, and we think our clients have noticed as well, is we have set up some auto approval rules for projects that we know that we can do. We have a dedicated team set up. We have parameters in place that, for example, if it's not more than a certain number of weighted words and the deadline is no shorter than this or this time, we know we can do it. And what we used to do was first try to assign it to a translator and editor, and only after that accepting it in the portal. And then sometimes the client was a bit worried whether it would be accepted, and then they had to ask us again, will you be sure that you can accept it? And now they can rest assured that we have accepted it, we will place it, and it is being handled. So that gives some peace of mind, can give some peace of mind to the client, but it also gives peace of mind to the project managers, because they know it has been accepted and they can set it up and handle it the way they are used to. So that's a positive development for clients and for ourselves. Yeah.
And Edith, Amelie, would you like to also share any of your thoughts on this?
Well, yeah.
Do you have any client feedback as well?
Well, in fact, we didn't receive any feedback because I'm not even sure our client noticed, we are using it. And as I said, it's only a little part of our projects we are automating with BeLazy. But maybe for one or two clients, we are now able, to set up the same deadlines as they have when we are asked for translation and revision, because for some clients, they just put, different deadlines. And for us, it's quite annoying because we only close a project in the portal at the end of the project. We don't do it, when the translator is finished, because it means too much work for the project managers. But sometimes some clients, they think we are late while we are still on track with the project. But as BeLazy can now close the tasks in the client portal, we can just set up the same deadline for the translator as one we are requested to deliver the project, and it's working well. So I think it's a good thing, and maybe we have better results for this.
But also personally, like, how do you feel? Do you think, like, even mentally, how do you feel working now with BeLazy, and how did you feel working before BeLazy? Like, did it change, individually for yourself?
Yeah, no, I think the most benefit is really for us internally as project manager, because it's really much more quicker now to launch these projects, and as well it helps creating a lot of projects without having to think of a lot of steps. For instance, we don't have to think of the workflow we have to use, if there is any instructions to give, because for the repetitive projects, we have some clients, it's always the same thing. We always have to, you were talking about copy pasting the same instructions and everything. So I think for a lot of the projects we can create with BeLazy, it helps us keep a cooler head because there is a lot of things we don't have to think about, and we can focus on other stuff which require much more attention, for instance. So yeah, I think it's BeLazy is really helpful for us, maybe more than for our clients.
May I just also ask, what other important tasks can you now focus on, since you just mentioned it?
Well, I can now, I have more time for other clients, because yeah, I was saying I'm working for direct clients, and those clients, they need more attention because usually they don't really know about the translation industry. So it's much more, communication with them. And as I know that we can now create a lot of projects much more quicker, we have more time for those clients, which require maybe more communication and more elaboration in the process when we are analyzing projects and everything. So, yeah.
All right. And Eva, what about you? How
Yeah,
do you feel before and after using BeLazy?
Yeah, the same as Amelie said. There's a lot of things that you don't have to keep on top of your mind all the time. Like, for example, making sure that all instructions are taken from the portal and all the files, all reference files retrieved and shared with the linguist working on the task. For example, if there are general instructions that have to be applied every time a certain type of project comes in, we can set it up in BeLazy so that these instructions are added every time, so you can just be sure that they're always present and always shared. And you don't have to remind yourself all the time or to double check whether there was nothing missed. And another thing is that we can set up the processes as well. We know that when a certain project comes in, there always needs to be a certain file preparation step or a certain QA task, and we can set it up beforehand. So every project manager that handles the task can see all the steps that need to be done because they have been defined at the start of the project. So it's saving time, which is of course important, but it's also creating continuity and a great structure for project managers to work in.
Okay, and Edith, do you feel the same way?
Yes, I think our experience, both my personal experience and other project managers, it's pretty much the same with Eva and Amelie. Not just having the peace of mind to do things since everything is automated, and I know that the client sees that I've accepted the project. It's not just that peace of mind of doing everything when I can and when I want to in my own time. It also allows us to actually manage things that we couldn't manage before. There was one specific account that moved to a platform that just didn't allow us to perform any bulk actions. And that client has dozens of drops per day. And that just was almost impossible to handle. Once BeLazy was automated and once that was integrated within the workflow, we could actually manage that a lot more efficiently and document everything in our own system. So yeah, it actually allowed us to do something that we couldn't do before and make probably between each of us probably hours per day managing and assigning and all that.
That's pretty cool. Just a second, I think we finally got a question for the panelists. Darius has asked us, hi, could you please describe the workflow that you are most proud of at the moment? Okay. So, and what actions, I just saw a pop-up that's from Ishtavan, so that's why. What actions are automated on your side and what actions can be executed on the client portal thanks to BeLazy? So, Edith, maybe we could start with you.
Can you just repeat the question? There were two questions. So
Right. Okay, so I'll repeat it again. So
okay.
Could you please describe the workflow that you are most proud of at the moment?
That we do with BeLazy?
Yes.
So I think that we mainly work with two different workflows. One is through an Excel sheet, through a tracker. So in that workflow, our BeLazy will accept the project, create a tracker, put all the data that we need within the tracker, and the project manager just watches the tracker, refreshes when needed, and can know exactly what's going on, who has the job, what job, and then they can work between that and the client's translation tool and the different translators that are assigned. And another workflow that we have is that we're using our own platform in which BeLazy gets the information from the client's portal to our platform. And there we can see what new projects are will need to be taken care of. And then we can assign through our own platform, and it will be also assigned in the client's platform. So I just need to do that once. And once I deliver the projects in my platform, BeLazy has a connector that also within minutes at tops also refreshes the client's platform, and the job is then closed. So I can, in those projects, I can pretty much do the entire process of working and handling the projects and assigning the projects and closing it just within my platform, and retrieving the files, of course, just within my platforms.
And what about Amelie? Do you also have a similar workflow, or is it a little different?
No, no, we don't have a flow as much as developed as the one, but yeah, I think maybe we don't work with clients, which really requires so many steps, because first it's basically creating the project, retrieving the files, the instructions, but we can not assign for now any one. I mean, if we assign it in our platform in XTRF, it doesn't get assigned, for instance, the client project or everything. So I don't know if it's possible. I have to check maybe with Istvan, but for now, no, we don't do that.
And maybe Eva, you could answer the second half. What actions are automated on your side, and what actions can be executed on the client portal thanks to BeLazy?
Yeah, like the project. If I'll take both questions at once. Okay. If I look at the workflow that I'm most proud of at the moment, it is a project where all the actions except for assigning it to the actual linguists are automated. So the project is automatically accepted if it feeds certain variables. The files are retrieved, a project is created in our system. It has the right setup, like translation, editing, QA setting. QA step is assigned to the language lead that we have set up for this project. And then when the final step is closed, the project is also automatically delivered to the client portal. So that's like full automation going full circle.
Right. Okay.
And another thing that for me is very important is that all the reference materials and all the instructions are also automatically added. So yeah, quite happy with that. It is like it's the model for what we want to do with many more of our projects.
Okay. Well, I hope that answers your question, Darius. Thank you so much for your question, and please keep the questions coming. And another question from my side would be, how does your team monitor your systems now after BeLazy? How does it monitor it differently? Maybe we can go with Amelie.
Yeah, well, so in fact, we are not using BeLazy to monitor our projects. So I don't think there is a change in our way of working. It just, we now have BeLazy to help us create a project quicker, but we still use our email client, to check any incoming projects and everything, because I think it's just because we don't have enough projects on BeLazy compared to other projects we receive the month, so it wouldn't be very useful, to check both platforms. But yeah, it's still really useful. I mean, it's not, yeah, it helps a lot to create a project, but it didn't really change the way we are monitoring everything, to keep a track on our projects.
Okay. And Eva, what about you?
Yeah, we do combined monitoring. We use BeLazy to see all the projects that are added there, but we also use our email inbox, and we compare the two. If we have emails about projects that should be visible in BeLazy but aren't, we can see what the issue is there. We've also had the other way around, that some way the handoff did not reach us, but there was a project assigned to us. So I think combining the two would give you the best chances of not missing anything and making sure all the information is available to you. And of course, not all, like Amelie said, not all projects are going to BeLazy, so you would always also need to monitor your email inboxes. But yeah, that's of course.
And Edith, do you have a similar experience?
Yeah, pretty much. We're monitoring our emails. We get a lot of emails from the client's platform, so we can notice what's coming in and expect it to appear in our own systems. Also, we're tracking red flags through BeLazy and having a look every now and again in the client platforms itself to see that we're not missing anything. And that's pretty much our tracking that allows us to see that we have everything under control and that nothing was missed and that everything is being taken care of.
Okay. And is it time consuming in any way, this process, Edith?
I think it saves us more time because once we know, once there's an automation in place, we can trust that if not everything, at least many of the projects are being already reflected by the automation, whether it's in the Excel sheets or our own platforms. So we can see everything in one place instead of just trying to look at one platform and then compare it to a different platform and see, wait, did I already accept this? Did I already do this? Did I assign that? So we have a pretty good, clear image of where we are in the workflow in one place, in one centralized place, which saves us a lot of time and a lot of headache, mainly headache.
Yeah.
And also, this question just popped into my mind. So you mentioned in the beginning of the webinar that you receive about 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000 sometimes, which is quite a lot of projects. And has this increased because of BeLazy, or did you receive the same amount even before?
I don't think that it increased because BeLazy. This is pretty much the what we experienced, the scope that we've experienced in the past, I think, year or 2 years. That's pretty much where we're at in those terms. I don't think that BeLazy specifically had an influence on that, although it will, of course, it saves us a lot of time handling that. So
right, okay. And I guess I would like to ask you what further suggestions or any other thoughts you would have, or even some compliments if you want to add, that you would have for BeLazy. What would you say?
Me?
Or maybe we could go with Eva, because I didn't really hear her speak.
Yeah, for us, an improvement would be there, like Edith mentions, there are red flags shown in BeLazy if there's a technical issue with a project. it's also probably because we're a bit new, but sometimes we're not entirely sure how to fix it, or there's an accumulated red flag. So there's multiple projects that apparently have the same issue, and some of them are not a real issue, but one of them is. So that's probably for us a bit of getting used to working with that, but could also maybe be improved in the future on BeLazy's side. Yeah, and compliments, of course, because we're quite happy working with BeLazy. Yeah, that's
okay. And what about you, Amelie? What are your final thoughts?
Well, so first, I'd like to say, BeLazy is really helpful for us, even if we don't use it that much, compared to Edith and Eva. But when we have to use it, it's really really a real pleasure, because we know it will be a very quick process, and I think it even pushed us to be better in terms of automation, because we could think further, on how we could be much more efficient when creating our projects. So I think BeLazy really helped us not only to automate, but to rethink our processes and to be more efficient for our clients. So this is quite good, I think. But yeah, I have maybe two suggestions. So the first one, it's I would like to have like a temporary bin. So when we make a mistake, because for now we have to approve or delete a project. So we approve it, it gets created. If we click on the bin, it just disappears. And it happens sometimes that we click on the wrong button by mistake, and once it's done, it cannot be undone. So we have to create it manually. So it's really annoying. So if you can have, like a temporary bin when we make a mistake and say oops and just restore the project, it could be great. And the second thing is just when we have sometimes a project from a client, but we would like to access the project without accepting it in the client portal. Because for now, if I click on the button to approve the project gets created and approved in the client portal. But sometimes I just want to have the project created, but not approved, because I am not sure if I can meet the deadline and everything. And so if we could just, create projects with BeLazy, but not accepting them first in BeLazy, that would be very helpful for some clients, when I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. I can imagine, the project disappearing could be very.
Yes, it just no. Yes. Great. Yeah.
What about you? Do you have any improvements, any suggestions for us?
I think that both Emily and Eva pretty much said everything that I can think of. Actually, I didn't think about Emily's last suggestion, which is quite good. I think that would also help us. And regarding Eva's suggestion for the red flags, yes, definitely. That would be something that would be very, very helpful in terms of tracking what's going on, what's wrong. Yeah, I don't think that I have any further suggestions. I'll stick to the compliments. I think that our we pretty much had a positive experience with BeLazy so far. It was for some projects, it's been an improvement in a workflow. For other projects, it was vital that we would have it. I think it's very clear that this is where the industry, the translation management industry is going to, everyone having their own platforms and their own processes and their own automation. And we must have an API that would help us organize everything in a way that a human can see that without going insane. So this is what BeLazy is allowing us to do with several projects, and I'm looking forward to having most of my projects being handled that way, so I can have some peace of mind for other stressful things.
And I think in our next meeting, Ishtavan and I would also brainstorm these suggestions. So definitely keep that in mind. We have another question from the audience. Alessandra has asked us, hi, could you give an overview about the text types that are a good match to be managed with BeLazy? Maybe Amelie?
I'm not sure how I understand what is requested here.
So is there a sort of text or file type that is more?
Okay, sorry, I misunderstood. No, I don't think it's about text. We can automate. I mean, it's really much more a workflow. You know, we can automate any kind of text as long as the process is the same. Because for some clients, we are working with different sub accounts, so there is maybe medical stuff, technical stuff, and everything is automated because it doesn't relate to the text, but merely to the way of managing the project, in fact. So, yeah.
And can linguists be assigned automatically, Amelie?
Well, for us, yes, but with XTRF, because when we automated stuff with BeLazy, we also added some further automation step in XTRF. So we have some workflows where we can send a request to a dedicated team, and then we can have the auto-approved system, and then XTRF can assign the project to the linguist. But we are not using it via BeLazy for now. I don't think it's possible. I think so from what Edith said, but we are not using it on our side.
Okay. Eva, you also use XTRF, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah. And like Amelie, we have set up processes in BeLazy and a matching process in XTRF. And then obviously in XTRF, you can set up a dedicated team for a task or a specific vendor for one step of the task. So combined, the two combined can assign linguists automatically. And in terms of text or file types, anything that is available in the vendor portal to be downloaded, I think can be downloaded. I think there's only limits on the size that can be downloaded. I think if it exceeds a certain size, BeLazy cannot download it directly. But I haven't seen any file types that were unavailable for download. So.
And Edith, what about you?
I don't know if I have much to add. Our experience is like Eva's and Emily's pretty much. We can assign linguists automatically, but it really depends on the client. We're working with different platforms and different accounts even. So sometimes the process that was created for a certain account will allow us to do that. Sometimes not. Sometimes a client's platform will allow us to do that, and sometimes not. Yes, there is some sort of tweaking and adjusting that we can do on our side with BeLazy right now, but it also requires participation from the client, which is something that sometimes we can get in terms of the account or what they can do for us. And sometimes it's a bit harder. But theoretically, I think all that can be automated. It depends on what and who you're working with.
Yeah, I just thought of an addition. Yeah, it is also possible to do a mapping of the users in your BMS system to users of a portal or a tool. So in that way, they can be assigned automatically as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Alessandra, for your question. I hope the panelists answered your question. And we have 4 minutes for the webinar to officially end. So Istvan, would you have any final question, any final thoughts from your side? Any questions from the audience?
Yeah, one question came in.
Oh, yes, great. Okay, so Katya has asked, how long did it take until BeLazy was implemented? Oh, I think this is a question for Istvan. If I'm not.
No, I think more like at a company, right? Like I think that's the question.
Okay, how long did it take for BeLazy to get implemented within your respective companies. Okay, thank you, Ishwan. Ava, how about you?
Yeah, we were quite quick. We had a very short testing phase, and I think after 2 or 3 weeks, we have started moving the first projects into production. So we're still in the process of moving other projects. So it hasn't been entirely implemented, but just to have projects coming into production, it was less than a month. And I think for all projects to move, in some cases, it depends on our clients, because we need an action from their side as well. But I think within 3 months, we would have most projects entirely set up.
Right. Okay, and Amelie, what about you? How long?
Yeah, it's difficult to answer because I don't really know, when it was implemented, because I was away for a few months. I just remember it was an idea in June. When I came back in April, it was there, and I had to map everything, but it was really quick, I think, because we could already use it. When I came back, it was just setting up everything about the connection mapping, the workflow we want to use, but it was quite relatively quick for us. But I don't know how long this setup took, because I was not there.
And Edith, maybe you could also tell us a little bit about how long it took you to implement.
I think it took a few months. I think we started around June of last year to the most initial processes. And I think I came into testing demi projects at around October, it was, I think, or September, something like that. I think in November, we started working with the live projects.
Okay. And I think we have one final question, because we just have a minute. So in 1 minute, let's see, how does BeLazy react to project updates? New deadlines, updated instruction section, etc. Ava, maybe we could start with you.
Yeah, I don't have a definite answer on that. I see Istvan was typing an answer, so.
So then, okay, so I guess Istvan.
I don't know whether it's the same for all portals, so.
Right, okay.
It is.
It is, okay.
All right, then I think with just 1 minute, we can finally wrap the webinar session. Should we say that? Yeah, Istvan?
Yeah, I definitely want to thank all our panelists for giving us the time and the preparation and sharing the thoughts here. I definitely want to thank also Shika for moderating it, and all of you who have joined this webinar. I hope that there was something to take away. Like, let us know always, like, what type of webinars you think would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And we would be very eager to listen, because we want to make it very relevant for people.
I would certainly be calling the attendees and asking them for suggestions. So, but thank you so much for being a part of this webinar session. It was my first time hosting it. So thank you so much, Ava, Amelie, and Edith, for your patience.
Thank you, Shika. It was very enjoyable.
Thank you so much, and hope to see you in the next webinar session.
Hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.